mistakes don't happen in 2030. Chair recognizes Mr. Lynch from Massachusetts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Mr. Director. You know, the backstory on this is if you live in a state where the elected officials are telling you, you know, it's run by the deep state, don't give information, be fearful of the government, that might be a partial explanation as to why people aren't filling out the survey. I agree, it's onerous and it asks way too many questions, but, you know, we can work on that and make it better. But I just want to push back on this. I hear people repeating this op-ed article about Massachusetts being overcounted. The mistakes on the last census, Mr. Director, were bipartisan. It was a mess in Massachusetts. I know you had some excuses with COVID and all that, but I know my district. I know my district. We have about 500,000 students in Massachusetts. I got 35 colleges just in my city of Boston, 35 colleges and universities. We did nothing on counting those kids. I know a lot of them were back and forth. Some of them, you know, took a gap year or whatever. We did nothing on those. The disparity in my district between the affluent suburbs and some of the areas I represent in urban areas, large minority populations, they're classified as hard to count. We didn't do any door-to-door, totally undercounted. I had a 30% response rate in some of my urban areas where I grew up. And then I have a 70% response rate in some of my affluent suburbs. So there's some real problems there with actually going out and counting people. So what are you doing about that, about the hard-to-count population there, and also the student population? My Secretary of State, Bill Galvin, does an awesome job and was all over this, and we could not get, he's the liaison for Massachusetts to the census, and we could not get people to come in and do that work during the last census, and he was all over this, and it was a very frustrating experience. So what are we doing about that?
Yes, we understand that there are historically undercounted populations and communities because of evidence like low self-response rates in particular communities. We believe that has in large part due to distrust in government. And what we've done is launched a continuous engagement initiative where we are going out and putting a human face on the Census Bureau, providing the data to communities and
I appreciate that. Let me speak to that issue, because in the past, I'm not talking about the 2020 census, but in the past, we've had trusted figures help locally with the census. So we've had pastors, you know, some of the black churches get involved, some of the community leaders get involved, elected officials get involved. And so, and people, we explain to people, I grew up in the housing projects, I go door to door in my housing project, I explain to people that federal funding depends on our response, and that means for veterans, for housing, for health care, for daycare. There's trillions of dollars in federal money that depends on the count of the census. And when you explain that to people, and when that is explained to people by people that they trust, people will fill out that census form.
Here.
And so, yeah, so what I'm asking you is, let's not let that happen again in the next census. Let's get back. Work with Secretary Galvin. He's one of the best. He's our liaison for Massachusetts. He's all over this. He knows the state, and I'm just asking you to let's get back to a granular level where people actually understand what the census is for. Maybe we should work together on getting rid of some of the extraneous questions about, you know, that people find off-putting and that anger them and cause them not to fill out the form. Maybe we get rid of some of those questions. I'm for that.
Will the gentleman yield for a question?
I will yield.
So, are you aware there are 353 different programs where assistance depends on people completing the census?
Right.
More than 300 of them.
Trillions of dollars. It's a great point to the ranking member. Yeah, thank you. My time has expired, but I'm willing to work with you, Director Santos. We got to do a better job than we did last time. I yield back.
I agree. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir, for being here. Sir, should people from other countries be counted for purposes of apportionment?